Good evening from Yummy BTV again, sending loads of love to you as usual. Now, following on, before I go on my travels tonight, in a minute, I might do a bedtime story involving Manchester's Shane Taylor, with a couple of fights that I was around at the time. And I didn't know whether I could talk about those fights because I didn't know the outcomes of them, because a couple of these wars nearly ended up in a courtroom, and some of them did, if you get what I mean. So they're sensitive material, but I'm hearing now that it's quite okay for me to talk about a couple of those wars and fights that ended with crime scenes, if you get what I mean. So see how I feel later on, and I will come up and I will do a bedtime story there for you all. Things are looking a bit brighter the last 3 weeks. I know. Thank you very much for all your support as usual. But following on from earlier on's video, Boxing Inquirer rightly says Judas Pig has quite a cult following, and those that read between the lines, so they say, they will believe what they want to believe. But then there's also divided a number of you that absolutely believe that it's a whole load of coswallop. Now, like I said, I've only read 80 pages. Bob Matthews, Alan, to you two especially as well, read the Legacy book and blah, blah. I was going to read them, just so. But then I thought about it and I said to myself, but what for, Yami? Because some of the pages I've read at first, I know already 5 things that could never, ever have been true. Do you see what I mean? So then, all right, a couple of things I read, I'm hearing that those might have been a bit more factual, if you get what I mean. But my belief is always that there's a few things that are definitely in question, then it throws the whole things into doubt. And we know throughout many people's court cases over the years, in front of juries, one simple lie can undo 9 truths and you can walk out of court. Now, I was talking specifically about the meat, his relationship with Build a Bomb, and those business adventures. Nothing else, right? So I'm not historical like some of you lot. I haven't watched many interviews and people who have done these things and watched their stuff on YouTube and on TV. I just go by what I've heard, what I saw, who was there. If I wasn't there, I'll tell you, we've talked about all this before, and I won't get drawn into hearsay things, especially of the serious nature of some of the things that were spoken about in there, without me having read the whole book, if you get what I mean, but from others that have. These are very, very serious allegations without reaching a courtroom and without, all the evidence being produced in a court of law where a jury can decide, plus members of the public can listen to the bits that they don't hear about, if you get what I mean, because you're only hearing one side of a story. And we've gone over this many times before. One favourite saying about those Crown courts is like, when the prosecution stand up and talk first, everybody, is easy to believe until the defence stand up and talk also. And then you think, oh God, no, it makes it sound a little bit more different. Grossly unfair and not proven. So I don't go over stuff like that where there are no convictions and not enough clear-cut evidence, just based on what other people say and whether they were there or not. Yes, okay, everybody's entitled to write things how they see it or whatever, but no, I don't work that way, and I don't think I ever will. And it's not for me to come up here and comment about sensitive material. Now, following on from earlier on's video, now, in history, there has always been talk about an altercation and a fight of some kind with the tall fella D and the boxer Gary Stretch. Now, while I was away in prison, I used to hear this story, and I thought it took place at ringside during a boxing fight where, there was a massive crowd. Well, it definitely wasn't in a boxing fight of any kind, and it was in a crowded place, but no, it was in a bar, and the bar was called G Bio in Mile End. So really, in the middle of Canning Town, if you get what I mean, or the surrounding areas surrounding Canning Town, right? So I think across the road or next door was a club called Benji's that I remember vaguely, but I didn't go to, if you get what I mean. So it went something like this. Gary Stretch walked in with a leather jacket with studs all over it, with his name glistened in "I am Gary Stretch." That kind of stuff, if you get what I mean. On his arm was a young lady. I think I've seen her on some celebrity things or blah, blah, blah. She's a model of some kind, I think in prison. I saw her pop up a few times. She might even be Liverpudlian or something like that. But I can't really remember. But her name is Kathy Lloyd. He walks in with her on his arm, right? Hellos, yep, respect, blah, 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 blah. Packed bar. Now, I've got 3 or 4 people that were in the bar that night. 2 of them are well known to you. Another one is a young lady who I've spoken about before. And another one is somebody that we've also spoken about in small bits along this journey where I've been talking about such stuff up on YouTube. So he sits down, he has a drink, and he was a ladies' man, pretty boy, Gary Stretch. Well, 40 minutes in, he's walking up and down to the bar, and every time he goes to the bar, there is an old man of about 60 to 70, in between that age, and he's got a top hat of some kind. So every time he goes to the bar, he knocks this man's hat off, right? So once, twice, 3 times, right? Until the tall fella, DH, gets up, walks over from his seat and said, "Listen, cut it out. He's an old geezer." Gary Stretch turns around and says, "Well, who the effing hell are you?" Or words to that kind of thing, if you get what I mean. Before he could respond, bang, bang, you're on the floor and you're out. You're on the seat of your pants, right? This is absolutely fact. Now, many of you have heard that they had that altercation or fight. Like I've said to you already, the only thing that I'm not really sure about, there's no response from Gary Stretch afterwards, right? But there's some questions about whether Jimmy Tibbs was there and picked him up off the floor, if you get what I mean. That's the only bit that I can't clarify. But I can definitely tell you that that's how that story went. So I'm on my travels, and hopefully I can come up and do a bedtime story tonight. Sending loads of love to you.